Chicago police are using an algorithm to detect the likelihood that someone will become the perpetrator or victim of the stubbornly high gun violence that has plagued the city. Oh, yeah, let's not forget Zika. The Zika fears prompt 125 public health experts to call for Olympics to be moved from Rio. A group of 129 prominent scientists, doctors, and medical ethicists released a letter calling for the Summer Olympics Games to be postponed or moved from Rio de Janeiro due to an ongoing Zika virus outbreak in Brazil. Just in time. Just in time. AB Sleaze News reports. In a letter to the World Health Organization, Dr. Margaret Chan, sellout gook, the group said that new findings and about the Zika virus should result in the games being moved or postponed to safeguard the thousands of athletes, staff, and reporters scheduled to attend the games. She followed that up by saying, "Chickadee China, the Chinese chicken." You have? Washington uses U.S. troops as lab rats. This is from Paul Craig Roberts. Alas, it is the Memorial Day weekend, and the bloviations about America, just wars for freedom and democracy, and our brave soldiers who gave their lives to keep us free have begun. Civilians, not soldiers, and are always the vast majority of war's casualties. People die not for freedom and democracy, but in order for armaments manufacturers to make large fortunes. General Smedley Butler said that his U.S. Marines died for the sake of profits of the United Fruit Company and some lousy bank investment, truth that you never hear on Memorial Day or July 4th. You see bumper stickers support the troops. He says, I would like to see one that reads, "Damn the government for not supporting the troops," because the governments do not support the troops. We know that. We know about the Veterans Administration scandal where they wait months and months and years for treatment and die. How come we're not talking about that? What's wrong with us? What's wrong when illegals get shipped into the country, non-citizens that want to be slaves, they want to be brought into the American citizen slave ship, they get money and transportation and all other accoutrements of life in America, where we wear our big boy pants. And what happens to the vets that are on the streets? Homeless, starving. See, is it possible that they just don't fucking care about the troops? Is it possible that they just don't fucking care about anybody and then just propagandize you? with some fake fiction about a country or what is a corporation. And again, Craig Roberts says, I would like to see one that reads, damn the government for not supporting the troops. Perhaps we need, what we need is another Memorial Day commemorating the hundreds of thousands of American soldiers that the wicked and cruel government in Washington, and they are wicked and cruel, used for radiation and chemical weapons experiments. Now, we're all part of an ongoing biological chemical war program. That was pointed out by Clint. That was pointed out by Patrick Jordan. Just recently, in the last, I want to say, since March, March, April, May, last three months of cold reality radio programming has been blessed with information and researchers much better than I. Much better than I. I'm just happy to know them and to be able to bring that information to UCY. An active biological chemical program that we are all, as part of the United States corporation citizenship, we are induced into this without us knowing it. Like when we are born here, our birth certificate is a banknote saying that we are collateral for United States corporation. It doesn't say it on there because most people would be like, what the fuck is this? But if you just make it, you just package it in a nice little bow, and it happens at one of the most important, you would think one of the most important times in a man, woman, or woman's life, couple, family, marriage. They have a child and everything. Oh, the baby. Oh, I'll just sign here. I'll just sign there. You're basically, delivery means abandonment in the real dictionary, in the non-pig Latin sense. We are delivered and abandoned by our mothers. And I know you're like, what? You mean abandoned? What do all the mothers leave their children at the hospital? No. They abandon their natural person. They take home their fictional straw person, or some of their natural person. But in the beginning, it seems all nice and good, right? You would think. And then, of course, then they let driver. Oh, I need to drive. Oh, yeah, well, I'll need a license to do that. I'm a driver. You're not a traveler. You're a driver. So, again, perhaps what we need is another Memorial Day commemorating the hundreds and thousands of American soldiers that the wicked and cruel government in Washington used for radiation and chemical weapons experiments. The greatest mainstay of the official 9/11 narrative is the belief of gullible Americans that the government wouldn't kill its own citizens. Oh, yeah? Well, gullible Americans watch these two 15-minute documentaries presented by Abby Martin, Information Clearinghouse, Reality Will Enter Your Life. But, of course, because the programming is so embedded and so saturated that you won't even allow reality into your head, because it's filled with basketballs and baseballs, internet porn, and just droves and droves of deceptions and misdirections. The United States government and the small elite to whom it reports look on the rest of us as cattle. And so do the police, a government agency that kills its own citizenry every day. During 8 years of Washington's war in Iraq, American police killed more Americans in their homes and on the streets than the number of troops killed in combat. A Memorial Day in memory of the victims of American police violence would help Americans realize that the real threat is right here within the confines of this corporation. Not far away in Russia and places like China, you know. Paul Craig Roberts was Assistant Secretary of Treasury for Economic Policy and Associate Editor of the Wall Street Journal. He was a columnist for Business Week, Scripps Howard News Service, and Creators Syndicate. He has had many university appointments. His internet columns have attracted a worldwide following. Roberts' latest books are The Failure of Laissez-Faire, Capitalism and Economic Dissolution of the West, How America Was Lost, and Neoconservative Threat to World Order. So, this is a smart guy we're talking about. He understands that these things are going on. But as I said to someone yesterday, if I find out what you like in a sandwich, and I get all those ingredients and I put all those ingredients in that sandwich, and then before I close that sandwich up, I put a turd in it. What is that? That's 100% shit sandwich. Before, it was 100% everything that you would want in a sandwich. But when I put a turd in there, it's a shit sandwich. And that's what we get. That's what you get from Alex Jones. That's what you kind of get from, even from Paul Craig Roberts. 10% of what he says or what he doesn't cover. And he covers Zionists and he covers all those crimes as well. So kudos to him for that. But as smart as these people are, the misdirections about America are great. They're in abundance. The very construct back when George Washington became the first president, that was the beginning of the conspiracy to dominate this part of the world. Of course, he being related to members of the British Empire and members of the British monarchy. Turns out they're pretty much all related. And that's how you conquer land, by getting family involved in it. So America, from its very embryonic stages, was a conspiracy to control and dominate this, where we are. And of course, now they're getting rid of all borders. They're removing everything that makes any country or corporation sovereign. And of course, who was saying that? John Kerry was saying that, talking against the ringer Donald Trump, saying that we can't build a wall, we can't do this, fire bad. Franken-fucking-Stein. But yeah, cousin of George W. Bush, cousin to all the Bush family, cousin of Dick Cheney, cousin of Barack Obama. They're all related, folks. It's a family tradition. The right to rule. Yep, and even the black guy that's supposed to stand for hope and change. Hope and change, baby. Hope and change. And it's always been hopeless for the citizens. It's always been hopeless for the commoners. You're a hamster. You're running on a wheel, and you just look at all of the obstacles. You get sick, you're bankrupt. How many people lose everything they have every day? And Obamacare is not fixing that. Obamacare is not fixing that. You're just going to die, with maybe a little more money. But as this monstrosity moves forward, actually less money. What am I even saying? They don't even care that it's out in the open, that it's totally fucking destroying the economy. Why would anything like this be implemented in an economy that is so fucking awful? Well, of course, they were lying, saying that it was coming back so that they could do these things while making the goats, not the sheep, the goat fuckers out there, make them think that they were living in a place where the economy was going to come back and that everything was going to be okay again. So they implement the health care, they implement this, they implement that. And it's all about bringing the whole artifice down. It's about destroying the fiction that they created and then creating another fiction. They don't care about the troops. They don't care about human life. They only care about their own. And they are all complicit in the conspiracy of the United States government. And that's what it is. But it even goes further than that. It goes further into Europe, into those constructs, the fake, false religious construct of the Vatican and these people that are the vicar of Christ, which is Antichrist, which is not even what the good book or these scriptures are even about. They've dominated and destroyed and diseased and killed people for years, and they're still in control, and they're in control of this country, and they give you fake, false enemies that they've created to get you feeling patriotic. They duped my father. They duped a lot of people's fathers. They continue to dupe and kill the veterans to this day. And that's the truth. That's cold reality. It's all a big fucking movie presentation. Big old movie presentation. And they know you like to be entertained. So that's what they give you. That's what they give you. That's what they give you. So thanks to Paul Craig Roberts for pointing out, at least in the 90 percentile of what's going on. At least this is. All right, so what do we got here? We've got you've got Zika expert, think twice about trips to Disney World. And we know more and more about the Zika. We know more and more about Ebola. We know more and more about H1N1 and the creation of these. Pathogens. We know more and more about it. Patrick Jordan writes about it writes about them in all of his 16, upwards of possibly even 17 books on the prion agenda, xenotransplantation, mixing animal parts with human creating really the beginning of the end. And so these things like this will continue. Things like this will proliferate, disease, until they come to a mandatory thing that, oh, you have to get this shot, or you have to do that, and you have to do that. And then just think the movie, what is that, with Clive Owen, Children of Men, where in 2009 a plague ran through civilization, and as a result, people were left sterilized. So the youngest person that existed was like a celebrity, and then he died, and everybody was like, "Oh my God!" It's all one big, total fucking scam. And people to this day, because they don't know any better, are just useless, worthless idiots. Iraq still, part of the scene. ISIS use 50,000 civilians as human shields. There's not even that fucking many of these ISIS folks. Al-Qaeda, when we first heard about the database, they were just swinging around on a rusty old fucking little child's play set. Look at them training. They hate us for our freedom. Really? Are you that fucking stupid? On the monkey bars, that thing that they played for years. There they are. They're training to kill us. There they are. They're going to kill us all. They're training on their monkey bars. Chicago braced for summer of violence, so we could be looking at a bloodbath. That out of the New York Times. 100,000 in USA now work for Chinese firms. Globalization in effect. 40 years later, a modern quadrophenia. Venezuela fall drifts into darker territory. Now you hear some of this being written, but do you see what's going on in Argentina? Do you hear about what's going on? Hunger, blackouts, government shutdown, 80% of basic products in short supply. Here we go. What is this? Protein shot to stop heart attacks. Tropical storm Bonnie, heavy rain, southeast coast. Let's see if that tropical depression ramps up at some point. Gorilla killed after boy falls into zoo enclosure. "600 economists reject the Brexit." And so let me go into that. Well, anyway, Jones has been going more mainstream these days, as we know, with Drudge, and for some strange reason, over the last summer, interviewing David Duke, having Tucker Carlson on the program, intermixing with people that probably at one time said, "That guy's a fucking lunatic, man. That guy's a lunatic asylum. That guy Jones. He's a 9/11 truther. He's fucking crazy." And so Gavin McInnes, now apparently some huge podcast radio personality now, who I've seen on Red Eye shows like that. I watch these programs to see what they're saying, to be able to decipher the encrypted information behind the MSNBCs and the CNNs and the Fox News, prostitutes, the sellouts, the people that think that they've achieved something in their life. Probably extended members of these families. And just give you this. I mean, at one point, if Alex Jones' name was brought up, this McInnes guy would have said, let me see here. Hold on a second. Is he? This is probably not even. I thought this was him on with Jones. I know he was on with Jones. That's not it. But yeah, probably about 30-minute interview. I haven't seen it. It's not surprising me anymore that that Jones is absolutely, involved in with all these people that said at one point, you are a crazy freak. Jones is behind a lot of this stuff. He would be on CNN. He would be on Fox News. He'd be on with Geraldo Rivera. He'd be on with any number of people. And they really do want Jones to start, bringing him into these mainstream platforms, because Jones is the progenitor of the Bolshevik style revolution that's going to happen here, whether it's going to be as gruesome and bloody as the one in Russia that was, put together by Vatican, Vatican power and Zionist power and all that other stuff that was, setting the stage for what was going to happen in World War I, setting the stage for what was going to happen in World War II. All the deceptions, all the wars that your brother and your father's father fought in, that were illegitimate, never needed to happen. All the stories that we've been told about all these different people that did all these different awful things and forced us into having to do what we did. And then, of course, Pearl Harbor. That was another a self-inflicted wound to get America into a war, another war, just another self-inflicted wound, man. And then there you go. So McInnes is on there, and apparently this Gavin McInnes guy created Vice, which was on home box office. And then apparently he sold it, and now there's a Vice Land channel, which shows some good stuff, but it's also a conduit so that you can see what's going on in other places. But it's the same thing: 80% truth, 80% pizza with little slices of frozen turd on top that look like fucking pepperoni. It's a shit pie. So you have people like Gloria Steinem on there who talk about the injustices that are going on in sub-Saharan Africa, where these unfortunately, these very young and very, more of God's people, black, white, all of us, we are all one, but we're all being divided and all that hocus pocus. So they're not allowed to finish school. They're not even allowed to go to school. They become wives at the age of 15 or younger. So I'm going to watch this at some point this week. It's probably like a 10 o'clock program so that most people will go to bed and not be able to see it. But is she really going to point out who's behind what's going on over in Africa? I'm very, very curious to find out exactly who she's going to blame, what she's going to say that, is going to be like who's behind this? Is it just the leadership over in Africa that this is happening? I mean, I want to say within the last year and a half, all or pretty much most of, if not all, the black leaders in Africa met at the White House. Okay. So what you have here is you have a system where the international banking families put the leaders over in Africa, and they follow through with whatever agenda, just like what happened in Haiti after the earthquake, where Bill Clinton pretty much blamed the cholera outbreak and then epidemic over there on a sick UN peacekeeper. Okay, which was a total fucking lie. They were spreading more disease to kill more people and get them more just fucked. And then what happened? Friends of the Clintons came in there and put a wireless fucking network in there post earthquake, post cholera, post decimation of that area of the world. So it really is just an absolute fuck of everything except for these families, of these people with their front man car salesman, Obama, the Bush family, and all these. I mean, they're at the top. That's why two Bush presidents, basically one term of HW. 2 terms, so that's 12 years of Bush's. And basically with Obama in there, the last 8 years, that's the Clintons. You don't think that fucktard actually fucking does anything but lie and read from a teleprompter? Fucktard Obama, you are a human turd. You are garbage and filth. That's one of the spirituals that would be in the church if I had one. You are garbage, Obama. I hope you burn up and die. You are pieces of vomit. You're gonna fry. Your name is Barry. You are white by blood. Stupid people love you. They're fucking putzes. It's my Sunday morning spirituals. You are fucking garbage, Obama. You are filthy shit. I hope I get the chance to vomit and spit on you and your wife, Michael. Church of the Shali Lama. You are a piece of garbage. So we just get more and more of this deception. Some good programming. They're talking about weed on there. They're talking about marijuana, weed-etiquette, or like etiquette or weed-etiquette, little plays on words. And, talking about women in weed corporations and things like that. Of course, there people put women's in there because they're considered a minority, so they get tax breaks. That's why a lot of companies and businesses are their name of the top of the pyramid is a minority. But you got to have these fake holidays and these farces. It holds up the fiction. It keeps the fiction going, just like in the when all the different dates of different events that the global banking families have been involved in, they'll bring that back into the news to reinforce the lie. They'll reinforce the information or the disinformation. Whether it was Jamestown or Jonestown or 9/11 or all these events that never would have been if we lived in a society that wasn't run by psychopaths. Let's see what we got here. What do we got? What have we got here? Yeah, so Jones becoming more and more mainstream. He's and I don't know what you guys actually think of what's this? Fucking Elijah Wood. Oh, look at that. Hollywood protecting pedophile elite. This might be worth a listen. There he is, Mr. Infowar. Elijah Wood
has come out and said Hollywood's basically run by people like Jimmy Savile, the child kidnapper murderer that hangs out with the royal family in England, and the prime ministers and the rest of it. And again, that's just one side of the underbelly of what's going on in all of this. We have really bad people in control who have very twisted visions of the world and want us to just be these unthinking automatons that follow their stimuli. And they're so arrogant, they think that we just don't even count. And so much of humanity is in a trance, has been put into a trance, and is just half dead, shuffling around, just waiting to be...
Yeah, I thought for sure that might have some Elijah Wood, but sorry. So, so apparently Elijah Wood now. Oh, let's listen to them. Let's see what we've got here.
Hello and welcome to
this guy's
Common
pretty cool.
Sense TV. I'm your host, the international anchorman of Common Sense, E.T. Williams. Well, this is a scanting review Elijah Wood, from Lord of the Ring,
Dildo
think he was the
Baggins.
Hobbit. He says that Hollywood is covering up for a string of child molesters who have been molesting little boys. I don't know if the little girls too, but they said that these predators are being covered and protected from any type of punishment. He says the powerful pedophile ring in Tinseltown is covering up a seedy underbelly full of predator vipers. I don't know why we would find this shocking. Woody Harrelson was a pervert for years, and people ignored him, talking about what kind of movies he make up. He's creepy anyway. The fool was dating his babysitter. Something creepy about that freak anyway. We got Bill Clinton was hanging out with the Jewish predator who was worth billions of dollars,
Yeah.
who used to get massages from underage girls and
Yeah.
fly them to, they used to have what they call a sex island. And
Yeah.
Bill Clinton was on his private plane many times. He's a known,
Yeah.
I think he only got 9 months in jail for molesting little girls.
He said a key
letting
word
them
in
do
there.
massages to him, underage girls. So when Elijah Woods says that there is a ring or a whole viper's den's nest of pedophiles, pedophiles, in other words, deviant perverts, that's being protected in the industry, that is a well-known fact. They said a actor, in some of the list of the people who may have been molested was the Goonies actor, Corey Feldman. He's 44 now. Claimed he was surrounded by
Yep.
molesters when he was a teenager. Shocking. And
Yeah,
Henry,
Jewish Ron
co-founder
Hollywood.
of Biz Parrots, I believe it is, a group to help young actors, said that Tinseltown's currently sheltering around 100 active abusers. In other words, 100 active child molesters. Need to saw their effing heads off these child molesters.
Yeah.
But Ann seems to think that they're just being protected up here. And Elijah Wood, you're never going to work again in Hollywood because these molesters are hell-bent on doing child molestation. I'm sure they're probably friends with President Barack Obama. They're probably friends with the rest of the perverts in Hollywood.
They are.
Dirty Harry Reid, he had a little boyfriend. Mm-hmm. I mean, he had an exercise accident. They call it an accident where he was supposed to have been exercising. His whole face was blood. I tell you what happened. His boyfriend was beating him. He had a little 13-year-old in there beating him to death, and he was injured like that. So if you investigate not only Hollywood, but I bet you if you investigate the majority of the senators and congressmen, I bet you'll find child porn on most of their webs, on their computers. I'm sorry. Dirty Harry is a child molester, I'm sure. We can find plenty of child porn on his personal sites. I mean, most of these people act like freaks, so if he...
That was the doctor of
So this sense. Is an interview that the actor Elijah Wood, who played Frodo Baggins in the Lord of the Rings trilogy, but also was a famous child actor. And the headline reads, Hobbit star says Hollywood has its own Savile scandal. Now, this is referring to Jimmy Savile. I've covered this on many videos. Jimmy Savile was a famous Dick Clark,
and friends with the Queen and friends with the vile, vicious royal family over in Yep. That's what goes on today in the world. And these people will get away with it. They will do more of it. And they are above the law. They're above the law. and they do whatever they want. They do's whatever they wants. And just nothing's ever going to be done about it until people just start taking these people out, man. They should just start taking them out. Who's got the balls to do it? Who got the balls to do it? They know who they are. And those that are against them know who they are as well. So sad. It's all sad. Johnny Depp, he said she wants to take my millions. Johnny Depp, you're a wife-beating piece of garbage. That's what the world thinks now. So even if you didn't beat your wife, and it doesn't matter, 'cause that's what people think now. Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp. 21 Jump Street. She gonna get your money. She gonna take $21 million of your money. Johnny Depp. Pirates of the Caribbean, she gonna get it all, 'cause you are filthy garbage now. Johnny Depp, you gonna have nothing left when she get done with you. Johnny Depp, what the heck? Johnny Depp. I said, now what the heck? Johnny Depp. Pirates of the Caribbean. Johnny Depp. Pirates of the Caribbean. 21 Jump Street. 21 Jump Street. Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp. Were you molested by the same piece of garbage that molested Corey Feldman and Elijah Wood? Was Johnny Depp molested by that Jewish guy that hung out with Bill Clinton? Bill Clinton on Sex Island. Johnny Depp, you were seen on Sex Island. Oh, Sex Island. She gonna get half your shit. What you gonna do about it, Johnny Depp? What you gonna do, Johnny? What you gonna do when they take half your staff? What else is in what else is in here? Very interesting. Oh yeah, let's see what's this. I wanted to read this. Oh, this is interesting. The protein jab to stop heart attacks. Injection brings hope for sufferers. British researchers have found a way to use a natural protein to repair damaged heart tissue. Right, probably infectious protein that gets shot into you, and with flu shots and all kinds of other things. The xenotransplantation. 1 million UK patients could benefit with the breakthrough expected to save tens of thousands of lives every year. See there you go. Oh, this could possibly save that. So they're just ready to do it, man. The research team led by Professor Ken Suzuki at the William Harvey Research Institute of Queen Mary University of London, flattering titles here, discovered a naturally occurring protein, I'm sure it is, known as cytokines, which can stimulate this will destroy the immune system. I'm sure if it's not already destroyed, this will do that, which can stimulate a unique type of heart cell to repair the injured tissue. An injection of the protein. Now, remember, now where do these proteins come from? All right, where do they come from? They're probably infectious, causing the encephalopathy of the brain, turning it into a sponge. Spongiform encephalopathy is what Clint and Patrick talk about, and Patrick has written about. Clint has blogged about it and spoken for hours and hours and hours about the xenotransplantation topic, leading to increased production of strong connective tissue and blood vessels and protection of heart muscles. Now, see, there can be another way to kind of stop heart attacks from happening by clearing that shit out, clearing the plaque out with just normal nutrients. But and the body can heal itself. That's the thing. The body can heal itself. It happens no other way. But these friggin' pharmaceutical what are they? The Indian medicine men. These what do they call it? Witchcraft. Pharmacia is just like witchcraft and mystical bullshit. Research team led by Ken Suzuki, blah, blah, blah. The researchers will now try to find the best way of delivering the protein to the heart. Well, you just inject it right into the heart there. Patients in the form of a drug, which they say should be commercially available within 3 to 5 years. Heart attacks happen to 188,000 people in the UK every year, and around 7. I bet you that number is incredibly high. I bet you it's probably about 50,000 or less. Around 7 out of the 10 people survive, meaning almost 1 million people are currently living with damaged organs and are at risk of a new seizure. There you go. It's naturally occurring protein, cytokines, can stimulate a unique heart cell repair. Bullshit. Bullshit, bibby, bullshit. So, yeah, this is a pretty big article here. I want you to read this and know that they're injecting these proteins in there. Did I open that up? They're going to be injecting those infectious proteins in there. They're going to unfold and fuck things up for you. They're going to mess things up for you, man. Going to get you. They're going to get you. Here at on UCY, Sunday, May 29th, Memorial Day weekend. It's 11:15 on the east coast of Nightmerica. And let's see what's going on there. I haven't reached out today. What's going on over there? What's going on? Here we go. You see why, you see why, you see why .tv. You see why, you see why, you see why .tv. You see why. Not only do you see why, but I see why. And then when you see and I see, then we see why. We see why. We see why here at ucy.tv. You see why, you see why, you see why .tv. This is the Shali Lama from UCY.TV's Cold Reality Radio. Tune in Sunday mornings, 10 p.m. Eastern Time. It's your ticket to enlightenment. Say it isn't so, Duck. This is God. Do not breach animal parts and the human body. It can be bad. So, of course, they knew this, and they did it anyway. It was, part of the testing, part of the interferon, the testing of how the human immune system works. And so they just decided to fuck with it because they wanted to make incredible amounts of money off of your misery after they create cancer and create all of these other diseases. And people can't even fathom that. They can't even fathom that that their immune systems are destroyed by flu shots and destroyed by MMR shots. It's coming out now, the Vaxxed documentary, Robert De Niro, Andrew Wakefield, saying that autism and other autistic spectrum disorders caused by vaccines. But see, it's a sickness, man. It's a sickness when you just believe what you're told, because they wouldn't do that to us. Famous last words. They wouldn't do that, would they? Would they, man? They wouldn't do that to me. They wouldn't try to kill me, man. They love me. I'm an American cytosine. America citizenship. It's a citizenship. You are on the American citizenship. But do you think you would live in another country that's as great as America? How can you say such things about America? How can you say these things? These things that would only be in my head because I heard them on a television show or a radio show. I am programmed to say the same things that everyone says when I hear something contradictory to the American narrative. I say things like, maybe you should leave the country if you think that it's better somewhere else. That's un-American to say. Why would you say something so anti-American? Da-da-da-do. Why would you say something so un-American? You are filth. I'm going to hit you with my shoe. You are filthy, filthy garbage for saying anything derogatory about the USA Corporation. You are garbage, you are filth. You are garbage and you're filth. Vomit, boy. It's amazing how when you just have conversations with people, you hear the brainwashing. You hear the same things that you're just programmed into people. Like, oh well, yeah, maybe you shouldn't. Maybe you should just go and live somewhere else. Maybe that's what you should do or something. Because like this is the greatest thing that's ever been, and no one would try to hurt you here. No one would. No one's trying to. Well, what about the troops? How come the troops don't get? How come the troops wait in the greatest country in the history of the world? How come the troops don't get the help that they need and then they die bleeding from the ass? Well, why does that happen? Well, it's like people just, it's just tough, man. It's tough to take care of people. There's so many new diseases and stuff that, they just can't really help. I don't think that they did it maliciously or anything. I don't think that, they just turned their back on them like you think. It's horrible what you think and you say. I can't even believe that you would even insinuate that they just let them die. See, there's the fucking brainwashing. If I fooled 20 people into going to fight a war for lies, with lies to get them to go there, and when they came back, and especially because there's a lot of the military now that really kind of, I think, understands that we are not what we're told that we are, that this country is not what they were told that it is, and that they're going over there and then they're murdering people, murdering children. They can't take it. This was never supposed to be part of this experiment. But see, pieces of garbage and shit, people that pretend to be the voice of God, people that pretend to be governing, and basically govern means control. Government, like you've heard so many times, control of the mind. Mente means mind, govern means control. So mente, govern, mind, control. Either way, control the mind. It's the same thing. People, they don't want the killers coming back. What are you doing, Chuck? What's happening there? Why don't you don't you give me a shiz out, man? Give me a call. Give me a call. I want to talk to you, bro. Yeah, well, there you go. I mean, it's like, but, you know, there's so many people out there that have nothing but, that option to join the military. Oh, we're going to give you an education. We're going to give you this. Yeah, they're going to give you an education, all right. They're going to give you an education, all right. A wonderful, wonderful education. Wonderful, wonderful. It's wonderful. Where'd Chuck go? Call me. Yeah, you. Yeah, you. Give me a shout. I'm here. I'm like, join the military. You can get an education. Join the military. You can get your vaccination. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Join the military. You can get an education. Join the military. You can get an education. Join the military. You can get, 'cause we love you. 'Cause we love you. We want to educate and vaccinate you. Join the military. Get your education and your vaccination and a vacation. Chuck.
Hey.
Hey, there you are.
How you doing, man? I got Frankie sitting on my lap, so if you hear some noise, it'll be him banging on the microphone.
What's going on, man? Yeah, I've seen you in the chat room the last.
Sometimes I don't go to the chat page and I just listen on TuneIn or whatever. Came in today and you weren't on, and I was like, what was going on? No, there was like no sound coming through it, and then somehow it got alrighty then.
Somebody said last week.
No,
he said the same thing last week that you're saying this week.
Oh,
see there in the chat room. Did like they just wait, they do nothing all week and
morning anyway. So there you go.
Yeah, I gotta get that. Just kind of is it join the military, but you know, you should hear that shit when I talk to people about that. I got a coworker of mine who's an EMT, and they fucking care about you. They're here medical.
People that are not, you know, they're nonsense, and they were good people and they were smart people at some point. Recently, a guy who I went with started listening to my show, and I don't understand, you know, how can you say that vaccinations are a bad thing? And I'm like, have you done any looking at this stuff? You know, have you actually examined what it is that they're putting in this? How about examining the natural process of your immune system as opposed to, you know, being injected, having a piece of metal stuck under your skin? This is not the natural process by which your body does this. You know, you might think that this is an alien invader. And does anybody even consider the idea that the peanut oils and different extracts from the from the dairy products and things like that, maybe that's why there are so many people with all these food allergies now, because you inject it as an invader into the body, and the body does what it's supposed to do. Have you considered that? Well, that might have some validity, but it doesn't seem to me like they would do this on big scale if it was actually harming people. And I'm telling you again, this is not an idiot. You know, this is a guy who had guts. I mean, volunteered again to go back into the service because he had been in there like around Desert Storm, left, and went back thinking it was his patriotic duty post 9/11, right?
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, as idiotic as that might sound to you and me, this guy is not an idiot. He's a fairly smart guy, definitely means well,
Yeah.
thinking he's doing the right thing. And sometimes I'm stymied by just that. And that's what you're talking about, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I just talking with these are bright people, man. These aren't people that have no clue at all. I mean, they have the ability to analytically fix things and just like the young people in their 20s, man. Where and I just keep going back to like what would we have been if they hadn't fucked with us. And I don't know if you've listened to any of the stuff that's been going on. I've had Clint on, Clint Richardson, who's done documentaries on one called Lethal Injection by Clint. He's got a Corporation Nation documentary, probably like 2 or 3 hours. Like one of the best researchers out there, buddy. Like one of the best. And
yeah, I've seen his stuff. I've seen excerpts of his stuff. Definitely a solid guy, and really comes out with pretty good looking material as well. It's not just a guy talking to his YouTube camera. Yeah.
And then he connects with a guy like Patrick Jordan, who's written books about just from soup to nuts, from A to Z about disease. But the first thing that you have to do to a population over 100-year period of time, 50, 100 years, is just scare them with disease. Scare them with diseases that they have created themselves. Right? So,
well, they either create them or they redirect them, right? I mean, in some cases, it was just, some years back, it seems to me as though, maybe I have it wrong, but it seems to me as though, something might emerge in one particular place and it probably would have remained contained, but they decided to pick it up and play with it,
Like Marburg, like a Marburg, which is some form of Ebola. They grab it and just like in some of Clint's research that they've done with interferon, they back in the 50s, they went in, they started doing research, university studies, and we know all the universities and all the education was taken over by these elite families. So they fund the research to find out, let's inject these rabbits, let's inject them with disease and see what happens, right? So they studied it, and then rabbit starts to get sick, starts to regenerate, come back, and they're like, wow, we injected it with, A, B, and C, and it's for some reason it was sick, but then something kicked in and now it's well again. They go in and they found out this amazing natural thing that happens, and it happens no other way, Chuck. As I said before, the body heals itself. It happens no other way. So they go in there, they find this interferon, they find this mechanism, and then instead of saying, let's not fuck with this, just look up in the sky, know that there's a higher power, and say, whatever created this does not want us to fuck with this. But these motherfuckers, these maggot, blood-drinking scumbags from the depths of evil said, let's go in there, let's find out what this they labeled it interferon because what did it do? It interfered with what they were doing, right? So you would think, okay, right, that's a natural, normal process there that people would go through if they're researching something. But then they said that the scumbag evil side of it said, we're going to figure out a way to interfere with the interferon. And the way that Clint talks about it is, when your immune system's working right, the cell phone calls, the lines are up, the cell phone calls are going out. Oh, we got this over here. This looks like it's going to be a problem. The phone call is made. It gets picked up on the other end. It goes back. All right, we're on it. The cytokines, the macrophages and everything go out and protect the cell from this intruder, okay? But they said, what if we took those lines of communication down? What if we did this? What if we did that? And that's what they've done to us through vaccination. That's what they've done to us through xenotransplantation, using animal parts, all of these different. I mean, Clint breaks it down beautifully in his Lethal Injection documentary. And they just figured out a way to fuck with things that they should never ever have fucked with, and now they're just sitting on top of the world where they can say, I mean, truly believe right now, as I'm sure you do, that they've got something that could just wipe everybody out. They have a leash, they've got some kind of antidote, they got whatever they need, and they can wipe us out just like that. Bing, bang, boom, gone. They've got it. They've got it. But people don't think.
Well, right, and it parallels itself.
People like this exist. They don't believe that people like this exist.
Well, right, and the thing is that the refinement of every scourge possible is what's in the agenda here. If you take it away from even the medical industry kind of for just a second and think about the way the drug situation is, they encounter these people that are utilizing certain plants, not the hemp or cannabis plant, but let's talk about other plants real quick, like the coca plant. They're utilizing it. They figure out that there's a way to refinement, so they get in on that end of it. They get in on the end of the opium refinement, right? And then also they get in on the treatment end of it as well. And of course, the money generation from the prison industrial complex. It's like not on both sides of every equation, but throughout every equation, there's always a stop for profiteering on people's misery, and they either generate it or they manipulate it in order to direct it so that it can be amplified. And this is what's done with every single substance, whether it's a disease, the technologies, so on and so forth. Like everything is hijacked in exactly the same manner, right?
Exactly. Yeah, just like yesterday, I was earlier on in the program, I was talking about Viceland, which is a new television program, and it was created by this Gavin McGinnis. But first he started Vice, it went to HBO, and then he sold it. He started something, and then he sold it, and now it's a television show, probably on your overpriced cable network. And so they're on there, and there's good stuff. I mean, I was watching a movie yesterday called Being John Malkovich. I'm sure other people have possibly seen it. It was kind of weird, but it was funny. There was a lot of good things on there, right? But at the same time, there was a show about marijuana. They were talking about how all these people now are, and this has been happening since the legalization. They're moving in there. This one guy from Israel comes to Denver. This British guy who lives in Rhode Island comes there, and they're living in the same house because they're creating a market for this. Because when the government approves it, and there's only one reason that they would approve it, so that they can control it. And they've controlled it, to the point where in these universities, it's a class 1 narcotic, so they're not even allowed to, conveniently, I might add, they're not allowed to research marijuana, whereas we know that it's been, researched outside of that. But now with this happening, I truly believe that it's weaponized, or that if it's not weaponized now, it will be weaponized, and then there's gonna be all that. But there's just so much. They're talking about these women that are in it. There's this woman who has a dispensary in Oakland, California. She goes over across the bridge to San Francisco. They get together and they have these like little get-togethers where they're just CBD products, marijuana, this, that, and all that. So basically, there's a lot of women that are involved. There's a lot of people, but for some reason the Vice channel is pushing a lot of the women's stuff. Plus they've got Gloria Steinem on there, who is talking about these women in sub-Saharan Africa that are slaves to, they can't work. They don't get an education. All they do is become basically like sex slaves, and they get married and become sex slaves for these people. When I watch this, and it's going to be on this week, is she going to mention anything? She's probably just going to talk about whoever these people are, whoever the governments are over there that are doing this to the people. She's not going to mention anything about who put these people in power. These are some of the same people that dined at the White House within the last year and a half, where they had a big gala and they wore all their African, headgear and all that other stuff. Really fascinating looking stuff. But this is right in the middle of the whole Ebola thing. They come to the White House and they're hanging out there. You think on this Viceland show about these slave women, you think they're actually going to talk about who put the people in power? No, they're going to focus on the people, the government there, and they're going to say the government here is allowing this to happen.
Yeah, but
nothing past that. Nothing past that.
No, but the reasons why. Okay, first of all, the Gloria Steinem thing. I mean, look, she admittedly worked with the agency, right? So she's got intel connections, regardless of what her alleged public agenda is. And as far as this Vice News thing, it had to be bought out. It had to be taken over because, look, they were actually doing some stories a few years back. I mean, if you go back and UCY archives, you'll hear hosts on this network talking about it. The good stuff that was being done, right? I was there for some of those conversations, and in fact, even interviewed one of the guys from one of the drug war episodes they did, Shali Castillo, right?
Yeah.
This guy, he's been in a lot of drug documentaries because he was a DEA whistleblower, et cetera, et cetera. But I mean, I've done several shows with him about the border and what's going on there and how the DEA is hijacked and how the drug war, it's a war of drugs, not on drugs. And, and he makes some pretty incredible statements on there that, you see all these banks popping up here in the south part of Texas. They would all collapse if it wasn't for the drug money, because Americans are more addicted to drug money than they are drugs. Yeah. It's part of the system. It's not outside of and part of the black system that's, really truly underground and all that. And that's the reality of all this stuff is that would, and again, this is
he's part of this. He's part of the
kind of guy I'm talking about here. This isn't just somebody, by the way.
The Castilla guy. Yeah. So, I mean, Chuck, the name of your program, you're still
over here in the afternoon. You got to check the schedule.
Really. We just become so with young people that were, and so, man, you've not seen people in their, obviously in their 30s, 50s, and their 60s, but truly, have this fake story in their head that kind of drives everything to a certain extent. And
I know that, but I'll tell you something that I've seen that's new to me in the say 6 months or so, and it is an emerge that are actually well ahead of the curve as far as like my age group goes. Your age, coming to these conclusions real quick. They're not being, completely fooled by angry birds and can't sit understanding that the game is rigged right at the gate. And so, I mean, there's actually, roundtable shows on it with these younger guys who are going out there, starting their own thing, creating websites, actually writing articles, creating radio networks and things like that. There is a group of people of the technology, and because of the fact that people like us are banging, they're actually hearing it, they're acting about it, and they're actually coming to these conclusions a lot sooner than I certainly did, and there always will be. But I think actually it's starting to turn around. Some of them have contacted, like my show, other hosts and things. So it's very cool.
I guess I'm just. I'll be honest with you. I'm not as hopeful. Maybe it's the board here. Maybe my mic's too powerful or something. I don't know. But then again, Skype doesn't. Microsoft owns Skype now, and from what I hear, there's a conduit straight to the Middle East. So who knows, man? I mean, the more information that comes out. Good morning, Jules. Good to see you in there. Happy Memorial Day, whatever that means to you. Or to you all. Happy Memorial Day to you all, and whatever it means to all of you. It's frustrating to know that so much of what I spoke about was I was just really off the mark, but the deception is so great that how could that not happen? So it's good to know that from Chuck's experience over the last 8 months that there are people that are awakening and becoming aware of the rigged game. Of course, the system has made us think that it's just the bankers that have, the Federal Reserve. That's, that all that stuff about the Fed being separate from government, and that's, that was another deception. The actual conspiracy was the creation of the United States government. Whether they had good intention in the beginning or whatever, Constitution was written for them and their posterity. And unfortunately, their posterity is George W. Bush, Bill Clinton, Barack Obama, John McCain. I mean, Finding Your Roots, PBS, John McCain being interviewed. Oh, John McCain. Oh, this is so. Turn the page. You're gonna be surprised. Turns the page. George Washington. You're related to George Washington, John McCain. Oh my God. Oh my God. I didn't know that. Bullshit. He didn't fucking know it. This has been an organized deception and a created fiction for 200 plus years. So fuck the Constitution. Fuck the Bill of Rights. They don't apply to you. They don't apply to me. And once we can get past all that, then we can understand that it's just bullshit. Like George Carlin said, it's all bullshit, and it's bad for you. So it was good to hear Chuck on the program again here. I'm so detached at some points. I was speaking with Chuck a little while ago, and he said, "Hey, I'm not on UCY anymore." And I was like, "Oh my God!" I asked him to kind of fill in for me because I know he just loves, he just loves doing his program. He just loves, talking to people, interviewing people, just the whole deal. I mean, he's just a dynamic, host and interviewer, and just like so many other people here on UCY and many others in this fight for reality. And it's good to have him back on here now. And then you never know, just you might just hear Chuck on for me in the coming months or so. Or Chuck on with me to talk about, topics. But he's, been, he invited me on to his program. I think it was, when was it? It was like October or November, or maybe, I don't know, like 2014 or 2015. He said, "Hey, what's up? I'd like to have you on for a little bit, have a conversation with you." He listened to the program and he said, "This guy Shali is crazy funny. Plays guitar, does some silly hijinks on there. I really want to talk to this person." So ever since then, it's been like, he's a brother. He's a brother in the fight. He's a brother in the fight for reality, and if there is justice in this world, we are truly trying to fight for it. So it's Sunday here on UCY. So don't forget, we've got Game On with Ron Stevens next. We've got let's see, what do we got here? Schedule. I know that Hal Anthony is going to be on today from 3 to 5 for 2 hours. After me, Game On with Ron Stevens from 2 to 3. Corbett Report with James Corbett from 3 to 5. We have Behind the Woodshed with Hal Anthony. From 5 to 7, we have the Archives of the Corporation Nation with Clint. Always good to hear his archives. Just some of the best some of the best stuff out there. Some of the best stuff, and we're glad to have him live on here at times, and we're glad to have him in archive format. After that, 78, we got Character Matters with Dr. George Simon. From 8 to 9, we got Jay's Analysis with Jay Dyer. He's another dynamic researcher and just a dynamite lineup today. Voice of Rebellion Radio with Chris J from 9 to 11 tonight. And then from 11 to 12, Live Free FM with Nathan Frazier. So stick around, UCY today, and absorb the vibe, the karma that comes along with the non-fiction, the non-artifice known as UCY.TV. And there are a lot of real things that have come out of this world. There's a lot of beauty. There's a lot of things. There's a lot of hate and evil and destruction. And hopefully one of these days, it's that badness is going to be eradicated. So thanks for hanging out today. UCY.TV called Reality Radio. And just kick it up a notch. Be the best person. Be the best man, best woman that you can be. Take care.
Try to stop them. Don't put that on your wish list. That's retarded babble. Protesters make the hit list soon as they start to rabble. They are nothing but fishes in the barrel. It doesn't have to be Christmas for a carol. Some decorate with ornamental decorum. Some perform Shakana on Hanukkah and Purim. That's where my job come in. I am a blessing to the mercenary. For the corporation selling weapons to them. Any potential competitor step into them. I'm authorized to knock them out and stick a GPS into them. They want to sell your